republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll go to call to order roll call, starting on my right.
Councilperson Josh Aaron.
Councilperson Brent Fire.
Mayor Jimmy John King.
Councilperson Craig Anderson.
Councilperson Jeremiah Olgen.
We're looking for approval of tonight's agenda. Anything from staff?
No,
Different?
what you see is what we have.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Approval of council meeting minutes of September 8th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. I'll take us to finance and budget. You have the accounts payable there with the additional listing. Bill can probably answer your questions.
Must be doing something wrong over there.
No questions, or
I'll make a motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. That'll take us to motions and general business. First item under that tonight will be the reading of the Boulevard Tree Ordinance. If I can get her open. Attached, you'll find the draft ordinance that was started last March after meeting with the Boulevard Tree Committee, but due to the COVID-19, we haven't brought it forward as to try to eliminate the number of people at council meetings. The draft ordinance was sent to the committee for their review and we received positive feedback. We've also published the draft in the Star, and Mark Peterson did an excellent job reporting on the language. So the public is fully aware that after 5 years, the homeowner will take over complete control of the tree. As previously stated, the city will continue to maintain trees up until December 2025. If a property owner decides prior to that time that they don't want the responsibility or cost to maintain the tree, they can request the city remove the tree at our expense. This may include removing a very healthy tree. Our plan is after the second reading and adoption of the ordinance on October 13th, a mailing will be sent to every property owner in order for them to be made aware of the new ordinance. A few of the tree member committee members are in attendance. So there's going to be no formal action, just a reading of the ordinance. Geez, you want me to read all 9 pages, Craig?
Nope. Most of it's just describing different trees.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can discuss the potential change?
What's that?
Do you want me to read this first page, Cheryl, or the
I would, yeah,
section?
I think just so the public hears.
Okay, section 630.11 Boulevard trees. The planting of trees within the city boulevard shall be allowed by permit only. Subsection 1, placement of trees. The placement of trees within the boulevard will only be allowed if trees can be planted according to the city's boulevard tree planting specifications. Sub 2, cost of purchasing, maintaining, and removal. All costs associated with trees within the boulevard shall be the sole responsibility of the property owner. This includes, but is not limited to, the purchase of the trees, maintenance associated with the trees, and the removal of the trees if or when it is needed. Existing trees in the boulevard. The city will maintain the boulevard trees for 5 years from the adoption of this ordinance, after which time the property owner will take possession and will be fully responsible. Penalties. Any property owner who fails to obtain a permit prior to planting shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. That's the first reading of the boulevard trees. Now, Josh, what was your question?
The only part I'm uncomfortable with is the 5 years, and then the property owner takes ownership of the tree. I'd like to see the city maintain ownership
In the boulevard?
of the boulevard tree, yeah.
Well, we've all kind of settled on this wording here. I don't know if there's anybody else at the table that wants to change the wording now after we've gone through this for a year now with everybody, and I'm comfortable with the way it reads. I felt the committee was comfortable with it at the time. So I think that's a pretty good leeway to give people. I mean, that's another 5 years to decide what they want to do or not do and stuff.
You can, wouldn't you worry that it could be a burden on the city? Like, I mean, I know there's some now, but if suddenly people are planting them all over the place and then the city has to keep those for years and years?
Well, I think the biggest issue right now is because we have so many ash trees. Like there's 184 in my neighborhood.
There would be about one by the end of the 5-year term.
Yeah, and if the ordinance goes through with the amount of different trees we would need to plant, we're not gonna run into that issue anymore.
Well, but when you're talking about maintaining trees, you're still talking about trees that get overgrown, grow into, I mean, there's still maintenance that would tie these guys up.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the maintenance, I'm just talking about like the removal. So it wouldn't be anything else, it would just be changing removal.
So after 5 years, the city would still be take responsibility if the tree needed to be removed, is what you're saying?
Well, I see your point in a way, but if they agree that they want to put it back in the boulevard, it becomes their tree. That's part of this whole ordinance. That's why we're going through this whole project. We're giving them the opportunity to put it back in the boulevard because we had an ordinance in place that says they could not put one back.
I know, and I think we went too extreme on that end, and I think this might be too extreme on the other end.
Well, I don't agree with that, Josh. I really don't. I mean, they don't have to go on the boulevard if they don't want to, but, and your point is taken about we're gonna have quite a different variety of trees, but the next question is, which tree is the next one to get some disease? We've had elms, we've had oaks, we've had ash. So I mean, it don't matter, something's gonna happen. So I mean, I'm all in favor of the way this is worded. I felt the committee was in favor of the way this was worded. So I don't think now is the time to change this.
Well, we didn't get a chance to discuss it from March, and I brought this up in March when we had our council workshop too. But we haven't had a chance to.
Who else at this table feels like changing it? Scott or Jeremiah?
No,
Craig?
I think that, I mean, I could entertain either way. I don't have really strong feelings one or the other, but I do probably feel stronger to keeping it just because of the fact that that's kind of what we got to at some point.
Brent?
I kind of agree with Craig. We all kind of put our input in, and this is what we came back with, and I thought the tree committee was in favor of the same thing. We kind of met in the middle for everything.
And I'm just one voice up here, so I get that, but I know when I was running for election, beautification of the city was one thing that was brought up. We can't do a lot about downtown because we don't own that. We have no responsibility over that, but the trees are gonna add some beauty to our town. And I think if we give that up now, there might be, when this 5 years is up, how many trees are gonna be left standing in the boulevard?
Well, I feel there'll be quite a few because I felt pretty strongly that the tree committee people felt pretty strongly that that's what everybody wanted.
And again, like I said, I'm one voice, so.
So I don't think
Still important.
I don't think you're gonna see us go around clear cutting trees. That was never the object of any of this. Even the old one, it wasn't the object of, we were just gonna start clear cutting trees.
No, yeah.
But diseased trees are diseased trees, no matter what variety they are or where they're at. I mean, even if it's in your own yard, you're gonna be taking it down.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, it says in here, if it's a healthy tree,
That's their choice, not us.
but if this passes, we're forcing them to do that.
Oh, yeah, of course, no.
Well, all that's doing is saying if somebody goes, hey, I don't want a tree out there, I do not want a boulevard tree at all because I don't want to have to do anything to it in 5 years, then the city would come and take it.
That's
How
an
many
option. That's
How many people, you already said it earlier in your talk that there shouldn't be very much maintenance after 5 years because it'll be new, healthier version of trees. I mean, I really can't see how much a homeowner would have to deal with, to be honest with you.
No, I know, and I'm just talking about removal. I know I emailed you, Sean, to see how many trees have we removed in the last year that weren't ash trees.
Yeah, not a lot.
So,
I mean, we have, obviously, there's
we remove from time to time.
Yeah.
What we're gonna run into is people that have a very mature tree that is still alive, but very far in its life expectancy, might want it because they don't want this big expense of taking it down 3-4 years later. You might get some of that, but I wouldn't expect a big rush.
Well, I don't think you're good. We actually, believe it or not, Josh, or you probably do know it, but I mean, some of the people in your area were worried that they were good. They called us to take trees down. And that wasn't because they were healthy either, but they knew in a year or two they're gonna be gone. So they had that, they have that option here,
Yeah.
you know. But no, I don't think you're gonna see people just chopping down trees. I really don't. Not the people I've talked to.
Okay. And then
They're mad at me for chopping down trees.
Okay, and that's just my concern is that 5 years. But
No, I don't think
Everyone else is fine with
you're
it?
gonna see people, I don't know anybody on the tree committee or anyone else that's gonna be saying, oh, 4.5 years, quit, come and cut this tree down, if that's what you're worried about, I don't.
Yeah, that would be pretty sad if somebody's like, thought about that June of 2025 and they got a big
I'm
healthy
sure they're
tree.
gonna come in here now and start getting their permits and everything else, cause they want that tree, and they don't
Yeah,
want
I
us,
hope so.
they don't want us taking that tree down, that's
I
it.
believe at the end of the 5 years, then, if they don't get a permit, doesn't mean we even have to rush right out and take it down.
No.
and stuff. If it's still healthy, it just will remain our tree. If we're tied up, we can't get to it or whatever.
Okay.
If it's a bad tree, we probably wouldn't. But if it's a good tree and it's still got 10, it just means those people aren't gonna be responsible.
Okay. So if it's already planted, then if it's already planted, it'll still be city's responsibility after those 5 years, or how's that?
Yeah, I don't think we're looking to take down a perfectly healthy tree.
No, no,
No, but after the 5 years, it's not the city's responsibility.
Right.
Take it down. It's
Well,
gonna,
it's
the burden's gonna be
They
on the
have to have a
home.
permit after 5 years, and if they don't get a permit.
they gotta be permitted, yeah, they'll permit them now, and anybody that doesn't know if they wanna keep it or not, won't get a permit, is what the deal
No,
is.
they only get a permit when they're gonna plant.
Plant a new one.
Okay,
Otherwise, after 5 years, there are trees.
So we could take it down.
I'm
at
sorry,
any
after
point
5
that.
years, they're their trees.
they're their trees
So
all
they'll
now.
stay, but when they need to come down, then they pay for them, the property owner pays for them to come down.
Yeah,
We
and that's
don't
the way
allow
I'm
them to do
thinking.
it at all.
All right. Does that answer any of your questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my concern and.
All right. And that's the first reading anyhow, we still gotta read it again and vote on it, so.
But now's the time to hash
Yep.
all of this out.
You want the tree committee to speak at all or not?
Tree committee have anything to say? Anything to add to it? Either one?
I've prepared a statement.
Then you stand up to the podium and give us your name and address, Hannah, and your prepared statement.
Hannah Lechner, 808 Beach Boulevard Southeast. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. On behalf of the citizens and council committee that met on the issue of the boulevard trees throughout 2019, we do want to thank you for your civil commitment and procedural due process. We feel we were heard and that this should be a shining example of councilpersons and citizens working together to solve an issue or a grievance. And some people have asked why we're so passionate about trees. And honestly, it's not about the trees. It's not so much about the trees. And as the late Justice Ginsburg said, if you want to be a true professional citizen, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair tears in your community, something to make life just a little better for other people. That's what I think the meaning of life is, living not for yourself, but for one's community. So I'm happy for all of us, and I'm happy for the future generations who will enjoy the beautification of Stewartville and the trees lining the streets of Stewartville. Thank you.
We'd like to thank the committee for working with us too. That was, a lot of times it seems like we're working against each other, but this panned out real good, I thought. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, that being said, we can move on to the next item, which is Bear Cave Tennis Courts. Well, Hannah, you're welcome to leave if you'd like. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting. Tennis court restoration. We have received bids from Rochester Sand and Gravel and Elcor Construction to mill and overlay 1.5 inches of surface of our tennis courts. There are funds in the capital park reserves that will be used to complete this project. Bids for overlay and milling, Rochester Sand and Gravel was $34,875. Elcor was $41,750. In 2021, we are budgeting $35,000 to complete that resurfacing. This would include 4 tennis courts, with 2 of them being painted for pickleball courts. This will be done in the early spring to maximize utilization for the entire season. So the action requested tonight would be approve or deny the low bid from Rochester Sand and Gravel for $34,875 to mill and overlay the tennis courts.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any questions or discussion?
We've gotten some good comments coming in about the rejuvenation. And believe it or not, just one of our area residents came in and said they believe the pickleball concept will take off as well. So should be good.
Any other discussion at the table? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries.
Sean wants to buy another new toy.
That takes us to public works equipment.
Sean's toys.
2020 capital equipment plan. 12-foot cage plow system. As per the approved 2020 capital equipment plan and the 2020 budget, this plow is scheduled for replacement. The cost of replacement is $15,100. We are keeping the existing plow for maintenance on Main Street, as that causes excessive wear working alongside the curb. The anticipated value received for trade-in would not exceed the usefulness for the city. This was budgeted for at $20,000. We are using the state contract pricing and purchasing from our local Bobcat dealer, Sanco. Council action requested is to approve or deny the purchase of the 2020 12-foot cage plow system. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. That takes us to mayor, staff, and consultant reports. Tonight, the city of Stewartville would like to send their sympathies out to the families of James Meredith, Don Colbert, Wesley Glover, Dennis Hart, Jim Byrne, Gary Ristow, and Nancy Momini. Nancy, if you didn't know, Joel Packer was on our council. That'd be Nancy was his mother. The Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a candidate forum on October 8th. This event will be live streamed. Check the Stewartville Star for schedule and information. And we'd like to wish our students, our teachers, our paras, everyone involved out there a great new school year. Let's hope for the best. The kids are all happy to be back. Everybody seems to be doing well so far. And we received a nice note here from Tricia Bradison, who is the COVID coordinator at school. And it looks like we have the middle school principals and high school principal. But to our generous donors at Stewartville City Hall, thank you so much for your kind donation of school supplies, masks, and hand sanitizers. We know they'll definitely be used to support our Tigers. We appreciate you thinking of us as we start this unique school year. And I see the State High School League's also talking about starting volleyball and football again.
Yes.
So
That's very good.
get a little bit of normalcy back a little bit maybe, but that's all I've got tonight. That'll take us to City Administrator's report. Bill?
Yep, report in your packet there, and I'm just gonna piggyback on the EDA work. Great turnout with families, taking advantage of the school supplies and the grant program we had there, so that was good to see.
Did we get rid of all of that store that we had downstairs?
Yeah. By the time we took it to the school, there was hardly anything left.
Gosh, that was a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, a lot of families came in and took advantage of it, so it was good to see. And then, as per your directive, we have directed more of those COVID dollars to the businesses and EDA grant program that they approved. And we've already got, as of just an hour ago, 19 applications from the businesses.
Wow.
And so they've been totally working with Carla and Joya, getting the requirements and the eligibility in place so that they can get as many of those dollars or qualify for as many of those.
And that's
dollars.
crunch time here too, right? They've got like just
We've
a
got
few
till October 10th is when the deadline is for the first portion of it. But we're hoping to blow through that 100,000 and get to 200,000. I mean, we have a lot of people looking at it, a lot of people that are wanting to do more with it, so.
That's awesome.
So that's the good news. So,
Yep.
Yep. Sharing thing with the business community, and you can see the appreciation from them as they've been coming in, because it'll help them out immensely, obviously, with the year they've dealt with. And that should do it.
All right, thank you, Bill. Any questions for City Administrator? All right, that takes us to Finance Director Carla.
So I'm just gonna piggyback off of that. So Joy and I have done a ton of work with that. We do have 19 out of 20. We are hoping to get 40 businesses, so we're hoping to take an extra $100,000 and go towards it if we can. We're looking at ways to possibly have like a plan B for them and increase that and have maybe more funds going to them for the ones that have been approved all the way through it. The other thing that, looking at kind of where we're at for the CARES Act dollars and what we're projected to be, looking kind of through September with some of the projections and what we're doing for the updating of the buildings, the updating, with the facilities and touch-free and all of that, we're still on track and about, less than $300,000 with some of that stuff. And that's updating the fire department as well and doing some of those different things within those facilities. So that's where we are kind of, like I said, we're looking at trying to put more money back to the businesses, get more into those grants if we have those available, and help 20 more businesses if we can. Then the other thing that kind of in our plan B of where we have the funds that we're looking towards the end of it, we're looking at being able to allocate some additional dollars to the nursing home to make sure that they have what they need to be able to help them there. And if we still have additional dollars to be able to give to the school too as well and help some more there. One of the things that is kind of unique, and I want to give a call out, is I know what's been talked about before, is the application for like the parks for the trails and such, and I know it's been talked about, but within these CARES Act dollars, because it's being promoted to be outside and have things so many things touch free, we are able to work with Jenna and SEH and do that application now, and they are doing some in-kind work for us, that some free work for us coming back. So the cost of that to us is less than like $2,500 less than what it would normally be. So we are going to move forward with that too, to be able to help give back to the community that way as well, and give them another resource of things out there too. So
Cool.
Fantastic. Any questions for Carla? Thanks a lot for the extra work you're putting into this too, Carla. Public Works Director, Sean?
Been doing a lot of dirt patching with the dirt patch unit. We'll be doing it again tomorrow. We got it back from Chatfield, used it the beginning part of this week. So we'll touch up some more, doing around all the iron for the snow plowing season. Then you guys probably have noticed we've got quite a few street lights there out. We came in one day and there was 12 out one day. Normally we only carry 6 on hand. And I don't know if it's COVID related or not. I can't find any of those light bulbs around right now. I contacted the gentleman that sold them to us. He is working with the distributor. They are under warranty. They should replace them. He's working with them trying to get, but we're just kind of in limbo right now. So I talked to him on Friday. He said he'll find me something else. We can get other bulbs if you go in there, but they're different color and they're different wattage. So they're either going to be brighter or they're going to be a different color, which will look a little bit goofy. So I'm trying to hold off, and hopefully a whole bunch more don't go out in the meantime till we can get these figured out. Other than that, the tennis courts is already taken care of. We'll move forward with that this fall. The paths that we approved getting blacktop this fall yet, or it looks like they're going to be scheduled when they're doing the street project over here, which is going to be like the third week in October. From 19th of October is when we anticipate they're doing blacktop, and after the trail, come past the Dairy Queen and do the other one too. So, other than that, it's same old.
Of the demonstration of the Ventrac, go for it.
It's a very nice unit. We did demo that once before, and we were impressed with it. It's just that it came with a bigger price tag. But the one that we have, and that's for discussion for you guys, I did, Brent, when you sent the comment about did we just buy what we did 3 years ago, and it just, the terrain that's in, it doesn't get stuck. It does a good job mowing, but the depths just beat up on it, and it's in areas that, so the Ventrac is a little heavier duty unit. So we're looking at different options for that.
All right. Any other questions for Sean? All right, John, thanks. Tell the guys to keep it up. Doing a great job. City engineer report. Jenna, you got anything to report?
The sewage project is moving along. As Sean said, we look to be paving third week of October, so the project should be wrapped up end of October,
Really?
for this year's portion. They were grading and hopefully seeding today for the cemetery area and the park where the hockey rink is. So that's getting restored, and then they'll be finishing up on Lake Shore.
One thing, can I add, the hockey rink area, we're not doing that as part of they're shaping it and we're designing it so we could put a catch basin in the center of that and dump it into that storm sewer. We're gonna let it go this year, and then Public Works will do that work ourselves if we feel, if it's not draining and we need new water standing there and stuff like that, we'll just have it next year on our own. So it won't be part of the steep project.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's fine.
Anything else, Jenna?
Nothing else at this time.
Everything else good. Any questions for Jenna? All right, thank you. Library director, Nate?
Yeah, above and beyond within my report, Saturday was our first Saturday where we were open to the public since the COVID outbreak. So we've pretty much returned to most of our normal hours, which is more than you could say from just about any other library. It seems like so far we've handed out 111 of our mask decorating kits. Of all 140 of them have been spoken for, but the last 29 just haven't been picked up yet. So that's just a crazy popular program that I kind of thought I would get, harassment over. So kind of a nice turnaround there. And then the another thing that with the CARES Act is we were able to order a replacement for our Dropbox that's going to be touchless. It was coming on towards the end of its life cycle anyway. It's kind of rusting out our existing one, and this is going to be a really slick touchless model that's actually insulated, which is a thing that will be really nice for winter and summer. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. Any questions for Nate? I'm glad to hear your take-home projects are taking off like that. That's a good deal. All right, thanks, Nate. Fire chief, not tonight. Committee commission board reports. Chamber of Commerce. Nothing in there tonight. EDHRA.
Already touched on some of the stuff. I had a meeting last week, so.
Yep. All right, minutes will be in last.
We're gonna start those check presentations, so any of the EDA board or council is invited to company staff as we hand out those grants, so they're gonna start, I think, next week. right?
Next
Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there are tons of them, and we have the whole list, if I can send it to you, I'll let you know.
All right. Finance? Library?
Nothing.
Park board?
We met last week, talked about the tennis courts already. And, there was just one other issue or thing that I can think of is that a couple, we've got money for trees. It's set aside for planting trees, and they'd like to take like 3 of them for the dog park project.
We're gonna work with the group that is doing that. We'll get the trees, we'll drill the holes in them, the girls will get their badge for actually doing the planting of the tree and
That was
water.
at the
They
Girl
gotta do
Scouts
that,
over.
but we'll
Right.
assist them to make it happen.
Great. Anything else, Jeremiah?
No, that's it for me.
All right, any questions for Jeremiah? All right, takes personnel, and I must say, we have some wonderful personnel. So,
Is it true they're all getting 15% pay raises next year?
they're all what?
They're all getting 15% pay raises next year? Is
If
that
the
true?
president gets elected, I think. All right, that'll take us to planning and zoning,
We meet October 6th.
October 6th, great. Public safety? Jason, you got anything?
National Night Out coming, October 6th,
Sixth.
Tuesday. Moved from early August to October with COVID. Residents can sign up online at have anything registered, so. Tuesday, October 6th.
You got anybody signed up yet?
As of the end of last week.
You are? All right.
But it should be now it's on the sheriff's site, I believe it's on the city's site,
Okay.
and it's going to start this week or next week? This week, yeah.
Brent wants to know if he can ride along and run the siren.
If he has to. We usually put Jimmy John in the back, in the cage.
All right, anything else, Jason?
That's it.
All right, any questions for Jason or public safety? All right, public works,
Nothing.
roll call, or ready, excuse me,
No report?
roll call,
No report?
Stu 180,
No update.
no update. Transit Advisory Committee,
No report this meeting.
all right, what do we got in communications? Nothing. Open mic. City Council welcomes and encourages participation from community members. Please keep in mind that comments must be pertinent to city business and must adhere to the data privacy rules. No employee's name may be used. Please do not expect action tonight from the council this evening regarding your concerns. We also request that your comments be limited to 4 minutes. Speakers will be recognized only once. At this time, we'd ask anyone who would like to address the council to please step up to the podium, state your name and address. Hearing no one wanting to
I'll make
do
a
that,
motion to
we got a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn. We got a second?
Second.
We got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That